Well, good morning and welcome to CEU's inaugural Social Entrepreneurship Summit. It's a pleasure and a privilege to have you all here today. It's nice to see a standing room only crowd for an issue and a matter that's, I think, is so important here, not just in Hungary, but in the region. This event's been 6 months in the making. It couldn't have happened without the help of a great number of people and a number of special partners, in particular NESST here in Hungary, the Soros Economic Development Fund, Day One Capital, Europe Capital, CHK Attorneys at Law, Demla Budapest, and the Mobility Multimedia Cluster, and a number of other people. We'll keep the introduction short, get straight to the presentations. I think when we put this together, you'll find that the presenters are really, really quite inspiring. The things that they're working on, from helping the visually impaired, to the disabled, to terminally ill children, is extraordinarily moving. Indeed, I found inspiring, and I hope you will too. We'll begin with a brief presentation and some welcoming remarks from Dean Mel Horwitch. Thank you.
I'm Mel Horwitch, Dean of CEU Business School, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm irrelevant for this event, so I'll be very, very quick. But I wanted to put this in the context of where this wonderful school is going, so you have some idea why this is so important for us, why this is such a high priority event, why we've expended so many resources to make this happen and in such great success. So let me just say very quickly, as many of you know, this school is over 25 years old. It actually began a little bit before the wall came down in Berlin, really to the insight and forward thinking of Mr. George Soros, the founder of the school and our university. And over the first, I would say, decade and a half of the school, we played a key role in bringing professional management education to this region, and particularly to Hungary. So our students formed a cadre of people that help move this country and this region from a socialist economy to a market economy. And we're very proud of being able to train a number of professional managers to do that, who went on to have great success. Some of them even became entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurship was not at the heart of what this school did for much of the early years, the first half, the first two-thirds of its life. That started to change, I would say, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, when we began to focus on entrepreneurship, much of it due to the efforts of Professor Burgel, who is in this room right now and will take part in this event. And we have built on that effort in making innovation and entrepreneurship at the heart of what the school does, at the heart, at its core. In addition to also making sure that every single student, participant, degree program, non-degree program, comes out of the school with a sense of best practices, not just being a professional, but acting with integrity, with ethics, which we also think is important. So we have these, especially these two anchors now. One is to be professional and act with integrity, and the other is to be innovative and to act with an entrepreneurial spirit to create new things under the sun. And I want to talk about this latter anchor right now, since that's of great interest to you in the room as we go forward, and it's of great importance to the school. We are now in a situation in our region, in the CEE and in Hungary, where we are stuck. We cannot break out on every single index that matters: quality of life, competitiveness, ability to start a business, innovativeness. Hungary and the region ranks relatively low, given the quality of education and the talent and creativity and forward thinking of the people who inhabit this region, particularly in this country. And our school is committed to help change that and to help make this region, and especially this country, competitive. And that can only be done by the creation of new value. It can't be done simply by having more manufacturing. It can't be done by competing in commodities. It can't simply be done by being a nice place for tourists to come and hospitality. It can only be done, we believe, by leveraging the creativity, talent, brain power that exist in this region, in this country, and in this city, Budapest in particular. So our goal is to make this city and this country what we call an innovation cluster, to make it a seedbed of new ideas, new value that will actually be successful in the marketplace. We want to create a situation where there is a turnaround so that, in fact, we leverage all the inherent talent and capacity that exist. And that's what we are trying to do. So this university is not simply committed to an open society, as Mr. Soros and others say. We are committed to building an innovation society, an entrepreneurial society, which you need in today's world to be an open society. They go hand in glove, hand in glove. And therefore, we are trying to do this by having gatherings such as this terrific event, by looking systematically at what modern entrepreneurship is, in particular, how you find markets in order to take your ideas and make them successful, to scale, to go global. Chris and I have a program, some of you in this room are part of that program, called the Global Entrepreneurship Fellows Program. We are trying to take successful entrepreneurs here and help them go global and scale, because without scale, it's very, very hard to be successful. This is an era of small countries being successful. The Nordic countries, Taiwan, Singapore, Israel, and others, Switzerland. They are very, very successful, and they rank high on all indices that I mentioned. Why can't Hungary join this group? Why can't it break out and be part of this group, of this set of locations around the world that's very successful? You can only do it by leveraging value, by creativity, and by being entrepreneurial and innovative. And therefore, that's the commitment we make in our teaching, research, curriculum development, and working with this community. And that brings me to the social side of entrepreneurship. A revolution has taken place in the whole area of what you do in the not-for-profit sector, in the governmental sector. It turns out that this is very, very exciting, that the same spirit, the same creativity, the same drive, the same passion, the same savviness that we see in private sector entrepreneurship, which is very, very important, is also true for getting things done in the not-for-profit sector, in the social sector. We want to learn more about it. There's a thriving group of people and organizations here that are doing things. We want them to surface and flourish and do more, and we want to do everything we can as a good institutional citizen in this country and the city to help that community grow. And therefore, that's behind the commitment we have at the school, and I'm delighted that you could all be here. Have a good morning, and thank you very much.
So thank you, Chris, and thank you, Mel, for the very inspiring introductory words. And thank you to all to come in so high number and to listen to this very exciting and inspiring event about social entrepreneurship. It's always, I'm always very happy to see that so many people is interested in this sector, and the number is continuously increasing, and hopefully so many people get enthusiastic towards the sector. I don't want to take too much of time because I think that the main characters of today's event are the social entrepreneurs. But after having that big picture from Mel, I would like to go into the details a bit closer to the special part of the entrepreneurial sector, the social entrepreneurial sector. I very briefly would like to introduce my organization, NESST, as NESST has been a pioneer of the sector in Central Europe, have been active in this sector already since the late 90s. And I would like to summarize very briefly our main findings during our operations within that more than 15 years. So NESST is a catalyst for social enterprises in emerging market countries. We are active approximately in 8 countries in Central Eastern Europe and in Latin America. The definition of social enterprise is a professional business delivering professional products and services, but having the primary goal of solving a critical social issue. So their operation is continuously characterized by balancing between the business success goals, the financial sustainability goals, and the social impact goals. We as NESST in these 2 regions, Central Europe and Latin America, focus on 3 particular impact areas, which are the sustainable income of marginalized communities, the increase of the employability of the marginalized people, and access to affordable technology to underserved markets. So we think that these are 3 critical areas which need creative and innovative solutions within our countries, within our region. How we operate, basically we provide with a balanced support to a portfolio of social enterprises. Some of them you will be able to listen to very soon. And we provide with a balanced mix of support, including social capital, intellectual capital, so capacity support, and financial capital. So we believe that the long-term efficiency can be reached through providing with the balanced mix of these 3 types of supports. And needless to say that this event is a perfect example for the first 2. So of course all the social enterprises, social entrepreneurs here will be able to strengthen their social capital, hopefully, and it's a great capacity building event for them. It's a great experience gathering opportunity. That is the NESST portfolio currently, so in Hungary. Globally, we work together with approximately 80 social enterprises. So it's a lovely, colorful and diverse picture. Some of the logos you will be able to see who is behind, which enterprise, which entrepreneur is behind the logos very soon. The activities are very diverse, from producing kind of basic products like cheese, for example, up to providing a very sophisticated service for small accommodation providers in the rural part of Hungary, marketing and access to market type of services. But you will hear this social enterprise very soon. So I don't want to speak about all the social enterprises, and I especially don't want to speak about the 4 NESST enterprise will deliver their pitch after my presentation. Just very briefly, would like to give you an impression how looks the composition of our portfolio. So we have, for example, a children book publisher, social enterprise, who develops progressive books for small children, covering sensitive topics like being different, being disabled, divorce, adoption, and such sensitive topics which usually are not discussed with small children, even not with the adult population. And while distributing these books, they generate income for more than 100 mothers with young children. We have quite many gastronomy type of social enterprises. We have 2 restaurants in Western Hungary, both employing disabled people. And we have a cafe and community place called Hello Anyu, Hello Mom, will be opened very soon in December. And it is a community place for mothers with young children to help them to reintegrate into the society and to increase their labor market related skills. And from the product type of social enterprises side, we have very nice food production social enterprises employing marginalized people like autistic people or Roma people. And they're producing chocolate and handmade cheese and dairy products. And we have two very innovative fashion type of social enterprises in our portfolio. Macho design with handmade embroidery, fashionable, modern, fashionable, trendy clothing products, and Reti Fashion, who also produces fashionable, trendy women's clothing products from reused jeans material, so they have a great environmental impact as well. But what are the basic learnings working with so many social enterprises within the last 1.5 decades? Altogether on global level, it was approximately 150 organizations who we developed very intensively and very long-termly, but we had contact with much more, thousands of organizations altogether having interest in the social enterprise sector. So these are the key elements of strengthening this sector in our regions, in emerging market countries in Central Europe. The early stage approach, so they need a very early stage development, and the combined development or the balanced development providing with capacity, financial and networking assistance, a long-term support, so they need to be supported and developed for 3, 5, 7, even 10 years, so that to reach their full potential, we need, of course, intermediaries on the market who are able to provide with all this support and who are able to demonstrate the models and disseminate the best practices. And of course, it is also about money, as all enterprise development process. So the sector needs a diverse financing, proper combination, and different type of financing tools. And what is the reality up to now? So there is still huge space for improvement. So we can say that our markets are quite underdeveloped from all these viewpoints. There are more and more inspiring and enthusiastic initiatives, but still we can say that local philanthropy is not as strong as in the Western countries, for example. While in the Western countries, it was one of the sources of the financing for the social enterprise segment. Lack of risk, basically, I think, we can summarize that the lack of risk-taking attitude could be mentioned as one of the major weaknesses of the sector, though, of course, all stakeholders has to contribute. And how? Just a brief summary. We, of course, expect from policymakers a supportive environment for intermediaries to provide with all the support I have just described, as it became proven very effective. We need the donors supporting both the social enterprises and the intermediaries. We need corporations who are engaged towards sustainable philanthropy and who are ready to incorporate social enterprise, the concept, into their CSR activity. And of course, we need the financial institutions so that to provide with tailor-made financing. Basically, all these findings were published recently, last year in a publication by NESST with the title No Free Ride. So it is more or less clear that really everybody has to contribute so that to have a strong and flourish and increasing social enterprise sector in Hungary and in the region. And why to do this? Just some figures which demonstrate the impact of NESST. These are global figures. If you take into consideration that NESST is a small organization having approximately 30 people globally, I think these are very impressive figures and demonstrating the effectiveness, the efficiency of the social enterprise concept. So altogether, we were able to create 25,000 jobs through our social enterprises, and we were able to contribute to the quality of life increase to 350,000 people. And before giving the floor to the social entrepreneurs, I would like to highlight and to emphasize one element of our support methodology, which is the social capital, strengthening the social capital of the social enterprises. It wouldn't be possible without having our pro bono professional supporters. We call their network Business Advisory Network, BAN. And of course, our small team is not able to provide with all the capacity building processes they need and with all the networking opportunities to need. So we are happy to have the pro bono support of many business people, business professionals, and experts. And of course, these business advisory network members are people like you. So I just would like to encourage you that if you get enthusiastic after the pitches, after the presentations of the social entrepreneurs, and you feel like helping them or being involved with them or with NESST, don't hesitate to contact us, and we would be happy to cooperate with you. Thank you for your attention, and now I think I will give the floor to the entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Anna. And thank you, Anna, and your team for all your work here in the region and in Hungary. It's making a difference. The format for the next section or segment will be 7 social entrepreneurs, people on the street doing this stuff, making a difference, and building sustainable businesses in the process. The format's 10 minutes for a presentation, followed by 10 minutes of Q&A. The Q&A will be led by our panel, and if time allows, we'll take a question or two from the floor as well. And if I could just briefly introduce our panel. If you guys would just raise your hand. From your left to right, I'm pleased to have join us Balázs Laki, Senior Counselor from the Innovation R&D Department of the Hungarian National Ministry of Economy. Balázs. David Meyer, Economic Development Consultant from the Soros Economic Development Fund. David. Laszlo Sziriak, Founder and Managing Director of iEurope Capital. Judith Budaj, Partner, Szecskei Attorneys at Law. Barnabas Molnai, Director, Mobility and Multimedia Cluster. And Judge Shimo, CEO of Day One Capital. Thank you all for joining us. Aron, if you'd like to begin.
To be honest, I'm a bit kind of excited about this opportunity for several reasons. And first of all, it's that I'm now a member of this university I'm studying here, attending the MBA course, and some of my classmates are here, so it's kind of exciting. So it's not just the jury I'm talking to, but also my classmates and all the others. So let me introduce myself. I'm a designer. My name is Aron Jakab, and I'm a designer, a social entrepreneur, a student now in the school. And I think what's really interesting that, you know, having this very varied kind of background, like coming from design, you know, working for an NGO, being quite dissatisfied with the whole system of how NGOs work in Hungary, that I found social entrepreneurship as an idea, and I realized that this is what I want to do. And, you know, getting an MBA, hopefully, at the end of this year, I'm pretty sure will help me to kind of, you know, have an even greater impact in the future. I think as a social entrepreneur, what's really important is what I am passionate about, because this is what drives you on in your daily work. And I think these are the 3 main points that I'm very passionate about. One is I really believe that business is an important tool for for real change in the world, real sustainable change. I also believe that teams are really important. You can't really make a difference on your own, so you need really good people. And I also think that you can have I mean, what you have, me or anyone in this room, it's really important. So our creativity, our talent, it's really important, and we can use it for a greater good. On the other side, if I want to explain you the whole social problem that I'm dealing with, I think I need to come from a personal kind of perspective. Could you imagine, like, yourself in the shoes of that guy? I mean, you are kind of doing a job, but you are not really qualified. You don't really have the system that supports you. I mean, we are all here, people who have talents, who have a good system, who have a really good background. I think it's really difficult for us to imagine people like mentally disabled people are lacking this. And, we are treating these people, or we have the perception of these people as charitable objects. And I think that's something that really bothers me. So what I'm kind of proposing, and my kind of vision, is how we can have these people, kind of move from this, charitable object status to a more an equal level, where they are respected citizens, where they can do a work that you want to. I mean, the products that they are kind of coming up, you want to actually buy it. So not just giving them donations, but rather giving them respect and treating them as your equals. The company that I founded with some partners, one particularly NESST, is called Fruit of Care. And I want to kind of give you a general picture of what we are trying to do, or what was the problem on a systemic level. There is a market. There are people who want to purchase. There is this demand for quality products. There is this growing demand, especially in the Western world, but it's also coming into Central Europe, for meaningful stories. On the other hand, we have disabled people working or kind of quasi-working in protected or sheltered workplaces. I mean, we are talking about thousands of people who really have a kind of a job, but they can't really, create value through their job. And I think this is what Fruit of Care tries to do, somehow connects these two kind of existing players, and we kind of turned markets into customers. In the last 4 years, our revenue from sale was 22 million. Number of products that we sold, mainly to companies and secondarily to individuals, is 22,000 products. And the customers from 2010 to 2013 went from 12 to 50. But for the NGOs who are our suppliers, we also provided we created marketable products that disabled people can actually produce. And we kind of have a network of suppliers of 9 workshops, and almost 200 disabled people work in our production. But I think the important thing why I'm here, because it's a pitching, so I really want something from you all. And I think these are the 4 areas that we want to grow in order to really make a difference, to really have a greater impact in the country and also in the region. And these are all areas, because we've been in operation for 4 years, so we have successes, but we also face some challenges. And we realize that these are the 4 areas that we need to grow in order to really create a sustainable business. We have this brand called Fruit of Care. And I think what's really important that on our primary market, in relation to companies, this is a brand name that's quite well known. So our customers like PR or communication departments or procurement department, they know us. They know they really like the story. They like this idea of combining quality products with a good story, with an ethical story. But what we want to do is really to step out and reach individual customers in Hungary and in the region. And this is something that we need to work. We need to invest much more energy and money. So like in 5 years' time when I'm here, and when I'm kind of talking in a similar kind of setting, I really want everyone to know fruit of care, what it stands for. Secondly, I think what is really important, like in order to reach these customers, the individual customers, we need to develop or enter into these new kind of develop new sales channels, and most importantly, the retail segments. We find that it could be an option for growth, or a possibility for growth. Thirdly, what's also quite important, that we need to keep developing new products. And in our line of business, it's a really difficult issue, because we are committed to work with suppliers who employ disabled people. But if you know anything about this sector, you know that these organizations are very, you can respect them, and they treat disabled people with what they are doing in that respect is really amazing, but they are really lacking business skill, which means that they don't really know how to come up with good products. They don't have the technology. They don't have the basic knowledge of how to enter into a kind of a business relationship. And we are kind of identified some product lines that we want to develop. It's interesting, one of the other pictures today will be an organization that we are working on developing a new product line, a cosmetic product line. And fourthly, what is really important, that the same problem, the missing link, really exists in the whole region in Central Europe. And this is why we also want to step out of this Hungarian kind of context and try to bring this whole model into other countries in the region. So what we need investment. We need experts, because there are some of the issues that I was kind of talking about, like marketing or entering the retail market. It's something that we are not an expert of. So I would encourage people to come up later on and start talking about it. And we really need a good team, because I really believe that you need different expertise. You can't really do it on your own. So you need people who help you to reach the vision. And some kind of figures, because we are in a business school, so we have to have figures. So this is our plan. I could talk about what are main strategies, but what is kind of showing in this chart is that we need in the next 4 years 200 million forints as investment. The bigger part we want to reach it through EU funds, which in our line of business is kind of achievable, and we want also like a quarter of that from private investors. And the reason is that we really believe this kind of combination of market economy and the social cause. And obviously what we are dealing with, developing this whole social economy or developing products or technologies in sheltered workshops. I think it's important that for them it's easier to have EU funds than investment, like financial investment. So we want this kind of combination of the two. And I think the social impact has been some numbers. So this is our kind of goal in the next 6 years to reach these numbers, because it's really important that, as a social business, we are not just talking about nice ideas, but we want to measure it. So when you think about social enterprises, it's about not just measuring financial impact, but also social impact. And you can see this, like in the last 4 years, this is what we had, like an income kind of structure, what was the percentage of revenues that we generated through our sales activities, and also the investment that we needed for these activities. So that's what we need. And I really kind of invite you all to participate, to help us. If you kind of can share this vision with us, I think it's really important and it's going to be fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Aron.
First, I want to give you some feedback on the pitch itself. I think you should have been a little clearer at the beginning what exactly the product is, so what exactly the company is about. I think by the end it was clearer, and if I was looking at the website in the meantime, it was even more clear. But I think that it was definitely a sort of a failing on your part that it wasn't clear at the very beginning. I also was missing some sort of a definition what people with disability in this case are, who those people are, like how exactly you draw the line, so that you can have a social impact. And as a customer, I can feel that I'm helping a cause. I would need to know exactly who are the people who are working for you. And then also, if you had given in the pitch some sort of a feel for the kinds of customers you have. You said at some point that you had 22 businesses that are already customers of yours. Maybe a story, a very brief story about one or two would have been very helpful. Then I also have a couple of questions, but maybe I first either let you react or let the other people in the panel ask their questions, and then if I have time, I'll come back. Thanks.
Okay, I'll follow up on that. Yeah, I had the same points, but I'll add to it. You talked a lot about where you want to go, and the needs that you need, but you didn't talk about how you're going to go there, and you didn't talk about how you're going to fulfill these needs. And also, you skipped through the numbers really, really quick. Okay, and even some of the graphs were nice, right? But I kept on trying to pull out the numbers, right? Yeah, and so this was nice to look at, right? But I kept on trying to figure out, exactly what you need, right? And then there is the table that you come up later, right? There, right? And that I was really excited to see because it's very exciting, right? Looking, right? But you went through it really quick.
Yeah.
I'd like to pull the information out of there, and if I'm going to try to evaluate this project from a financial position, I want to find out exactly, where you're going to be or how you're going to do that.
Can I just add to the same points? Very good. I frankly still don't understand fully what the company does, to be honest, and the business model, right? So I think we need some help on that, and I'll stop there for now.
Aron, would you like to comment? Okay.
Yeah, and also just to add to this, if just to be a bit more precise on that, would you like in the Central Eastern region or Central Eastern European region to build a similar business model? So also the supply side you would like to build, or purely expand on the market and sell more? So that was not very clear to me, to be honest.
I hopefully it's going to be getting better and better. So that's my second pitch in my life. But anyway, I think it was really useful. The business model, it's actually what we do is really like we are working with suppliers or organizations employing disabled people who are really lacking this business skill I was talking about. So what we are trying to do is help them to work together on product development, coming up with new products that the market needs. And our primary market is companies. They buy these products as gift items, especially in the Christmas season. And so we are kind of offering them a product portfolio that they can, they would usually be happy to give as gift items. And our the customers that we are dealing with is like Telecom, Vodafone, Erste Bank, so mainly bigger ones but we also have medium-sized businesses. And last year we had 50 of these customers. And as for the region, there was another question. The regional expansion, I think it's a really interesting question. What we found is that this whole business model, so we want to replicate the business model that we already, I believe it's proven. What we want is, kind of talking to customers or potential customers outside of Hungary. It was really important that for them, I mean, if you take the company, like the B2B market, like, selling it to companies, they are interested in supporting their own disabled people. So that's why we also need to kind of build up this whole supplier network if we want to move into another country.
Great, Aron, and we'll take one question from the audience, if there is one. Look. Jury.
Sorry, just to follow up on this business model, I still don't understand. Are you trying to be a marketplace of goods? Are you actually taking inventory, buying inventory?
We are buying. Actually, we have 3 types of products. We have some of the products are own, which means that we are actually just partnering with suppliers who would produce it, but it's our inventory. So we buy the raw material and it's in our inventory system. We also have some products that we are kind of just buying from customers. So we are purchasing the products and selling it, reselling it to customers.
But do you only purchase it when you get an order, or do you purchase it in advance?
It depends on the type of products. We do have an inventory, so this is something that you could see. It's quite a large inventory, unfortunately. Yeah, this is something that we need to work out, what's the level of inventory that we can deal with.
And then I saw we had a question from Jury Shimo.
I have one comment and one question. I just want to re-emphasize what Barnabas already told you. There's a very good sentence in your presentation. There's a demand for meaningful stories, so you're probably better off telling us 1 or 2 of your stories from the beginning to the customer, and that would be more convincing. The question would be, there's a wonderful drop of expenses in your chart, which, I mean, I was delighted to see that direct costs go down to 0 in year 3 or so.
That's impossible. Maybe I made a mistake. But
no, it's here. If you see total direct costs in year 4, they basically disappear.
Right. I think we are kind of, it's a bit tricky with the colors. It's investment. Sorry, it was not the best choice of color.
Is it scale?
I think it's because I think we made a mistake there, so it's going to be more like a factual thing rather horizontal thing. I think we kind of put investment in it. There were some mistakes. I just realized this morning that it's, yeah. Sorry about that. Thanks for pointing out.
My name is Tamas Zahorszky. I'm a double alumni of CEU, one from the PES side, one from the Buddha side. So I basically represent everything that's bad with this world. I have an LLM and MBA, and I'm here to tell you a story. I'm not here to pitch. I'm here to tell you a story about why I was crying like a baby 1 month ago. I was crying like a baby 1 month ago because we lost our first customers. So yeah, how did we get there? This is a nice photo of my business partner. His name is Tibor Priavara. He's, I guess he's the most innovative Hungarian teacher, one of the 100 in the world, as appointed by Microsoft. In 2013, when I was still pursuing my executive MBA, I had a great idea about a learning management system. I went to him to validate it. He told me, Tamas, this is bullshit. So, I was standing there and asking him, okay, what if I improve this, increase that, do something with this? Can this still turn into something better? He said, yeah, definitely it can turn into something better. It can turn into horse shit. So, I didn't know what to do. So I just asked him, so what would you do? And he told me, what do you know about the 21st century teaching principles? I said, what do you think? Nothing. These are the skills he introduced to me. I'm not going to read it. I guess you know this already. If not, just go through them. For me, 2 most important things was paragraph 2 and the last paragraph, which will come back later. If you don't know what gamification is, Gamification is basically using gaming elements in non-gaming context. In this sense, in this context, we use it in teaching, in education. These are the typical gamification elements, short and midterm goals. There are levels you have to reach, there are experience points you have to reach. This can also substitute exams, let's say, in an education environment. You always have a possibility to start over, so there's no real failure. It gives you stress, like this presentation gives me stress, but it's a positive one. Hopefully it will be visible on me later. You can also have a position in the leaderboard, which of course motivates you further to make it much better. And there's no one specific learning path, it always depends on the person. He also shared his vision about the future, let's say, education teaching with me. It basically means that there are no single solutions, no books, no materials. Everything is pretty much depending on the students. And new tools are coming more and more. One of these new tools is e-studygroup. That is our startup. E-studygroup is pretty much, it's an engine which anybody can use to create e-learning solutions. You can share or teach whatever information material you want to teach. It can be an audio file, it can be text, it can be basically anything. That's not a big deal so far. Another, let's say, good thing is that you can create flashcards to help students to memorize things. And at the end of, let's say, the exercise, you can choose from 15 plus different type of questions. And the whole thing is embedded in a gamified framework. It took us half a year to develop this thing without knowing whether it can be validated or not. When at the end of 2013, we got an invitation from Microsoft to go to Barcelona, where there was a global forum, some kind of a World Cup for innovative teachers. There were 3,000 applicants, out of which 300 were invited to Barcelona. And we didn't know what the heck to do with the invitation. So we came up with an idea that we need to somehow demonstrate that this engine can be used by kids easily. We asked secondary school kids to come up with basically a game idea. They came up with a tourist idea. First time tourist in Hungary, what would they want to know about the country? What do we want to teach about the country? 10 different missions, 10 different subject matters. They created on their own flashcards, different missions. They timed the missions. They choose how many lives the tourist can have. And at the end of the day, basically at the end of the day, they pressed enter, and the next second or minute, their application was already available on a website or under an Android application. That's e-studygroup. And this is how we get to this picture and this chapter. Once we felt that this thing is validated, we kind of got stuck because we didn't know how to use it. We offered it to schools. They didn't really look interested. It was too new for some teachers, too revolutionary. And then suddenly someone with a hospital teaching background came to us and told us that they just love this idea. They want to try it with chronically sick kids. What are the challenges in this environment? What did we face? What do they face every day? These are kids, they are usually in the oncology department, but some of them just went through some, let's say they suffered an accident and they have to stay in the hospital for a couple of weeks or even months. And as you can understand, they cannot keep up with their classmates. How do you motivate them? They are constantly fighting the disease. They are constantly fighting dizziness. It's extremely difficult for them to motivate kids. Self-esteem is also another thing. They don't really like meeting outsiders. And the logistic is just really something awful to implement, to deal with. You have to deal with the children, the parents, school, and the parents at the same time, because everybody has his or her different requirement. Okay, how does it look like now in Hungary? Let's say in Heim Hospital Oncology Department. They have approximately 25 kids there on a constant basis, and they have one and a half teacher who's teaching them. If you take an average number of daily lessons of a kid, that's 40 lessons for one teacher. I guess we can agree that for the teacher it's impossible to help these kids in a, I will say, in a proper way. Parents' role changes. They, in addition to work and caring for the kids, they also turn into teachers, but they are not good teachers. Let's not forget that. Or higher empathy, I guess that goes without saying. Reintegration is always another, let's say, is always another big issue, because they don't know whether they can go back to their classmates. If they spend 2 or 3 months in the hospital and there's a gap between their knowledge or their progress and the classmate progress, they cannot go back to their friends. That's extremely demotivating for them. And then, yeah, this is what he came up with. Basically, Kórház Suli, it's a brand new initiative of our startup. It started in September. I will talk a little bit about the pilot a bit later. What is this system? This system is based on an IT pillar and a content providing pillar. The IT pillar is e-studygroup's own engine. And the content providing pillar is basically almost like a criminal act, because we are using child labor. We are using high school students to provide content for us, of course under the supervision of their mentor teachers. Everybody's working for free. Everybody's working for various benefits. We will also visit a bit later. And if I just go back to the very beginning, the feedback of the participating secondary school students was the second paragraph. This is what they felt, or this is what they are feeling during their work. Knowledge building maybe is the most important thing, because finally they know that the knowledge they gather, they acquire at school, can be used for a good purpose. Yep. How the system looks like, let's say from the procedure point of view, there's a diagnosis, which I said doesn't necessarily means that it's a type of a cancer. It can be something that requires long-term hospital stay, hospital treatment. The hospital teacher informs the parents and the kid that there is this possibility. Then we have a discussion with the hospital teacher. The hospital teacher identifies what the children need and basically acquire the books. Then we go to our secondary school students. These are groups of students, as I said, supervised by their own teacher, and we ask them to basically produce content, which they do usually in 1, 2, 3 weeks time. And in some cases, they also go in, visit the actual sick kid, and show him or her how the whole game works. If it's necessary, if it's needed, of course, there can be some follow-up education by Skype. I mentioned that I will come back to this, what are the benefits for the different stakeholders? Well, I guess, yeah, the first stakeholder group are the children. They get personalized, tailor-made learning, while there's a smile on their face all the time, because basically they are playing. It's a game for them. The hospital teacher gets help. His or her workload is reduced, but still he or she can feel that they are still needed. High school teacher, for me, when I was making this presentation, it was extremely, I would say, astonishing that the high school students, they get more benefits than everyone else. So what do they get? They get deeper learning by teaching. Also, teenagers usually have self-esteem problems. They don't really see the importance of their existence. With this, we give them a purpose, a noble purpose, I would say, helping kids, solving an issue. They see that, you know, they can be 17, 18, 19 years old, but they are already there helping someone to maintain previous life quality, or at least, let's say, helping them. The education community, the benefit is there's new gamified content almost every day. It's uploaded to the server, and at the end of the day, anybody can play with it. Now, we are available on the e-studygroup.com, but, and I will get back to this again, after this, I would say, strong validation, we are redoing the whole website, redoing the whole database. I just hired PR and design experts to make this more user-friendly. So what happened so far? In 2014, the first pilot happened with Andris, who was 12 years old and who was after his second chemotherapy. The hospital teacher said he should be the first one because he has the shortest attention span, 5-15 minutes. He couldn't focus more on the teacher or on the reading materials. Our students went to him, visited him, showed him the game on a tablet, which we received from Microsoft. And he was playing for 2-3 hours without a break, while smiling all the time. He got a history application and a geography application and loved it extremely much. That was in the summer. Sorry. And then from September we have expanded the circle of these kids, still within the Heimpál Oncology Department. Now we are teaching 15 kids, and from 2 elite or 3 elite Hungarian gymnasium, we have 40 plus contributors. We are still working on the infrastructure and the know-how building. It's important that the whole thing is not self-sustainable. Basically, I'm the founder, I'm the one who's financing the whole operation. The future, I see that is bright. We want to expand in Hungary once, let's say, this 2 months development phase is over, and we are ready to do that. And hopefully with the help of CEU Business School and Chris, we can start regional global expansion. The biggest, I would say, issue in front of me, in front of the whole initiative, is that financial sustainability needs to be solved. I see ways to achieve this. Let's see whether they work or not. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tamas.
I think I've got lost in the story somewhere. Well, the story of one person or two. So that was a lot about the whole thing, and I still don't understand why is it a business initiative, a venture, even if it's a social one, and not a program connecting secondary school students to ill children in the hospital. So institutionally, model-wise, so how would you differentiate it from just a simple program, which is very interesting?
I would differentiate in a way that, of course, as I said, financial sustainability needs to be solved. There are ways to solve it. I'm working on the business model right now. I see several ways. One of them is licensing this out, either in Hungary or, well, regionally or globally. Not only the engine itself, but also the know-how, together with all the PR and marketing materials. That I would say that what can make this program into a social entrepreneurship licensing. Of course, there will be sponsors. There are already sponsors queuing at the door, but that's not something you can build on a long-term basis.
So what I understand is that this is just a concept right now, and you're still working out on how to turn it into a business. And meaning, turn it into a business means who is your customer going to be, and how much money you're going to make from what customer, etc. And also, if you compare your online system to another one, let's say like Khan Academy, I mean, why is it different, or why is it better, or how do you differentiate yourself from all these others? And third question, sorry, is why only focus on the hospital or children who are out of school for a period of time? I mean, there's a much wider market that you probably
definitely yes. Khan Academy, very good question. It was an amazing thing in 2011. Now, you know, it's 2014. There's a totally different approach within education. Kids they don't want to learn any longer. They want to create something, and this is what I try to mention in the second paragraph, that knowledge building is done by creating something, by working with someone. Khan Academy is a passive thing. Most of the things you might have in mind are passive things. This is an active thing. This is a tool. Yeah, I didn't take any notes about the third one and the first one. Yeah, there's no income yet. No income yet. Yeah.
And your idea on how to develop the income, right? I'm missing that.
I try to. I think Mr. Shimura had a similar question. I try to answer it. I know this is an early stage. I wouldn't say this is a me initiative, because this is already working as we speak now. There are 15 kids learning from this application. Of course, 15 compared to the possible one, let's say 8,000-10,000 only in Hungary, it's not a good comparison. It sounds small. But from the infrastructure and know-how investment point of view, there's no big difference anymore. So basically what needed to be developed is developed. What needed to be invested was invested. Now we just want to start growing. But before we do that, I decided to redo the whole design and database.
Final question of Barnabas Molnay.
There are a lot of tools out there in the market that help you build mobile apps. So what exactly is it about your system that is optimal for e-learning purposes? Is there something like you thought it through better than other people did? Or is there some secret sauce that you can share with us?
I think the secret sauce is basically the gamification elements inbuilt.
I think you can get that with many.
Not this type. With this you can build a whole mission if you want to. You can almost play a whole strategy game. You can always develop this further. I think and that's why I'm here, one of the most advanced approach of us is that we are also crowdsourcing content provision for those who are basically in need.
And maybe a follow-up question to the previous question. How exactly do you imagine the next step of distribution? So this was sort of almost a happenstance that you started with children in a hospital, but it seems that there would be a wider application. What will be the next steps to spread, basically?
Yeah, I will start, let's say, in at least two different ways. One is the Hospital Teacher Association. We already have a really good support within the system. There's some resistance as well, because I would say the more conservative generation, they are afraid of losing their job because of this thing. But as we could see the numbers, this is not a real threat to them. If I say expansion and you ask about expansion, the Hospital Teacher Association is part of a European-wide Hospital Teacher Association, and once we can prove that the Hungarian, let's say, pilot was successful, then it will be requested from another countries. There are already some discussions going on. That's one part. And the other part is that I just had a discussion with Ernst & Young, now EY, they want to call themselves EY. I used to work there for 2 years as a regional legal director, deputy director, and they already offered help to find the decision makers in Hungary and if necessary within the region, and to connect me, to connect us to them and find out how we can turn this into a more business-minded enterprise.
Great, thank you, Tamas.
I'm Victoria Torma from Házikence Tanoda. Házikence Tanoda is a school. The name means a school for natural cosmetics. And in this school, we do exactly what its name is. So we are teaching natural cosmetics for every level. So we teach people who do as a hobby, and also people who want to make their business from them. And we really teach everything what is inside this thing. The idea came out from my mind. I'm a chemist, and I made my postgraduate studies in Essen in Germany, and I was alone, and I needed people to speak with and to have a common hobby with. So I founded a group of people who made soap making enthusiastically, and I became one of them. After my doctor work, I came first be a postdoc first in Vienna and then in Budapest, but soap making as a hobby remained for me. What you see here in the picture is a soap, and also teaching. What we have here. The company started after the birth of my children, when something simply changed, and I had to do something. I didn't want to be a social entrepreneur. I wanted to be. I simply wanted to make something which is my hobby, and also something which makes the world different and better. And natural cosmetics is also one of these things. I think something which is really help, and something which is cheaper, and something which helps you living a natural life, a more natural life. So everybody knows a lot about natural cosmetics. This is a very flourishing business nowadays. What turned out to be very special in Hungary, that here in Hungary we really had a lot of unemployed people, and they were looking for business which they can easily learn, and also what they do not need a really big investment, and they can start it easily with very small amount of money. So what we can give them is the knowledge of the profession. They learn not just soap making, but also cosmetics making, everything what is inside. And also we help them to set up their businesses. We help in the paperwork, we help in documentations and everything what they needed for that. So that is the main social part of our work nowadays. And how we do this? We have courses. We have courses on soaps and on cosmetics. You can learn to make everything by us, which can be found in the stores. So you can make also your makeup things, and then soaps and face creams and everything what you want. And also we make courses on business starting. There are a lot of business starting courses in the market, but what we are different in, we are helping start a soap making course. So you have the cosmetic law, which is quite strict, extremely strict for people who don't know chemistry, don't know things what is needed to set up a cosmetic store, business. They don't know what a product information file is, how to make good manufacturing practice things, and we help them to do it, and we teach them how to do it, and also give models for how to do it. Also, we have we are speaking with them a lot. They can come to us, and we have conversations with them. If they have some problem, they can discuss us. So that is the main thing what we are doing now. So hobbies and also business. Mainly today we are in Budapest, and also a very important thing that we do nowadays and started nowadays is that we teach people sorry. Okay, so we teach people who are mentally diseased or be a part of social projects. We have a working together with the Fruit of Care company, and this is it how we help them to learn how to make soaps and also other cosmetics. So that is what we do nowadays also. So this is another pillar of our company. So the courses, and also we teach people in the other areas in country, the handicapped areas in Hungary, where there is a huge unemployment, and also we have EU projects and also projects like Fruit of Care and helping disabled people to start businesses or to have starting up their soap making workplaces. So, what we did until now, we had almost 4,000 participants in our courses. They were mainly hobby participants, but also we had a lot of businesses, not a lot of, but a few businesses growing out from these courses. There are a lot of attenders in the business courses, but also real-ended companies which are now selling soaps or different cosmetics grown out of our courses. There is a new pillar started in the end of August. We're writing the product information files and the good manufacturing practice files for students, and also we had some contracts of that. But what we are really proud of is that we have had 2 projects, so similar to Fruit of Care project, which was made in handicapped areas in Hungary for setting up soap making businesses. Our new plans is we are now in the middle of a change because there is we have the courses, and also we have this new thing in the portfolio of writing the paperwork and so on, and these two has to be these two has to be stabilized. But after we have this, we have to broaden the portfolio and going to other towns in Hungary. That means that we sit now in Budapest, but we wanna bring the knowledge close to the people, also not just in Budapest, but also different countries, different towns in Hungary. So what we would need for that is a mobile classroom, basically a car loaded with stuffs and ingredients and machines for soap making, and then we can go in every towns and go where they call us and making the courses in the community places here in Hungary. That would be the first. And the second is, of course, also we want to go international. We want to teach cosmetics online or a blended learning projects. And this would be, I hear now the slogan of us, this is learning cosmetics, which is full of chemistry, of course, but those people who really don't like or hate chemistry are very far of that. Okay, so what we need for that is the mobile classroom, firstly, of course. This is basically a car loaded with the things we needed for the courses. But also, we would need a lot of help in going international and making the online courses in German and Hungary, but also in the neighboring countries. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Vicky. Questions from the panel? Judith.
Say something about, it's very interesting to hear that you would like to develop your training courses business. I was a bit afraid that you would like to also expand your business growing unit as well, because I see it a bit of a risk, because it's an industry whereby you the products have anything to do with human health and human body, and these are very highly regulated industries. So do you really, with these 10 enterprises or 11 enterprises which you help, do you give them constant help, because they might need customer service, they might have problems with authorities, and I think this is a very cumbersome and very risky part of the business. So how do you handle that? Because this could be a problematic issue for all kinds of product liability or customer care or customer service.
We are in contact with them, of course, and if they have problems, they come. This is happening very naturally, so no problem with that. Maybe this 11 is not that much that we have the problems for that, but this is really something like a friendship or so. So they can come and ask, and we answer. So that's no problem. The other thing is the health issues. You know that is a very common fear with natural cosmetics. But you cook yourself your meal. You don't buy the meal in the stores or thing. You make it yourself. The cosmetics is exactly the same. You can use things just what you can eat also in your kitchen. So you can eat your cosmetics.
But I understood that you are helping them to do it for a commercial purpose. So you are actually setting up their businesses, and that's what I meant. That to set up a business, you might need personal and technical and material requirements. You need to liaise with authorities. You need permits. You can have monitoring afterwards. You have constant costs, and that's what I meant. So basically, this is something which is a relatively big risk if that's handled, or you are just doing it as a mentoring. That's a different issue. But to give a constant help, probably that raises liability or on your side. That's what I was just asking, whether how you manage that.
Yeah, of course. So they have it. We have to set up. This is everything is written down. It is everything documented, and it is basically a program you have to go through with every product. So that's working. Yeah.
To follow up on Judith's question, what's the team look like now, and how do you plan to scale the team to support the entrepreneurs that you're trying to help in the ways that Judith pointed out?
Mainly the helping projects of setting up businesses projects is mainly in Hungary. And what we do is we help in the start. So we teach them everything what they need to know what they need to know to make this program through, to make the documentation and to follow up the documentation. And I think they will come if they have problems. So they will ask. And we will be there, of course. How much is a course? We have so packages of courses, but one course is 15,000 forints. And of course, we give a little discount for the packages.
I was just going to suggest that this is very interesting. What I'm missing is to understand the social impact. In fact, not just with you, but also with Root of Care and e-studygroup. I'm a financial investor, but I also want to understand the social return. So, what's your vision in 1 year, 3 years of your impact, your social impact? Maybe you could just clearly define that and why you think it's. I'm having trouble, as a second point, understanding why this kind of consulting and educational business is social, per se.
The social impact is easy. So, because, of course, there are some people who can set up his own soap making business. Unemployed people with not much money, they can make an income. This is one.
Sorry to interrupt. I mean, any consulting firm, any training company will also help people get a job.
Vicky, could you talk about the economically disenfranchised women that you're helping in the regions of Hungary, not just affluent women in Budapest, but maybe tell a story about, of those 3,800 participants, how many of them are from the regions, how many of them are unemployed, how you're giving hope to women.
So here in Budapest, you cannot make a soap making, no, cannot is not true, but it's very hard to make a soap making business anymore. Because here in Budapest, in every corner, you can buy handmade soap. And these are lovely and more lovely and more lovely and more lovely. What is very important is that there is no soap in Herceghalom. There is no soap in somewhere in the small regions of Hungary. What is a big business now is bringing soap making there. You don't, everything is set up, So it is not a problem anymore to make a business because you come here, you pay, I don't know, not much money, and then you can make your business. You have nothing to do with that or not much to do with that. On the other hand, you will have a business in Herceghalom, a soap-making business without any concurrence. That is why is it so important, because it brings business to regions in Hungary, which is there is no business, nothing, no workplace, nothing. So that would be one thing. Is it what you meant?
I think that's it. I think that's the answer. And the other thing I might highlight, Vicky, if I were you, and only because I've had the privilege of hearing your story, in more in depth, is this isn't just about soap. This is about starting with soap and expanding into higher margin cosmetics in these regions, and allowing these people to make a decent living doing that.
And the other thing is that it's just few people who can make really a living from cosmetics. But there are a lot of people, very much from the courses, who are not making a real company from soap making or cosmetics making, but just sell 1 or 2 or monthly 100 or monthly 50 soaps, giving their partners, giving neighbors and friends and colleagues and so on. And there are a lot of family for whom this income is also very important. So that is somehow. I didn't want to make a social enterprise, but it turned out to be such because of these things. So that is how is it working.
Thank you, Vicky.